What is going on, everybody? I am very excited about today's video because we're kicking off the spookiest of all seasons, October. I absolutely love October. I love Halloween. It is my favorite time of year. I'm also a little bit biased because my birthday's in October, but I absolutely love fall. I love the weather. I love the season. I love seeing Halloween decorations out. And you're going to see a lot of horror content on my channel this month. A lot of horror content. I have a lot of fun in the month of October being able to watch some new movies I've never seen, revisit some old favorites, and just do all different kinds of videos surrounding the horror genre. Because for those of you who have been subscribed to me on YouTube for a while now, you are probably very aware that I am a huge fan of horror. I review a lot of horror movies, and the film I'm going to be discussing today is a movie that I've seen, and it had been a while since I've seen it, at least probably 3, maybe 4 years since I watched it, and I've noticed a lot of talk about it recently. I'd seen it pop up under some people's favorite found footage movies, and it's a film I remember really enjoying when I watched it the first time, and I was really looking forward to revisiting it this time around as well. And the movie I'm going to be talking about today is The Taking of Deborah Logan. The Taking of Deborah Logan is directed by Adam Robitel. What starts as a poignant medical documentary about Deborah Logan's descent into Alzheimer's disease and her daughter's struggle as a caregiver degenerates into a maddening portrayal of dementia at its most frightening as hair-raising events begin to plague the family and crew, and an unspeakable malevolence threatens to tear the very fabric of sanity from them all. So, as I said, I've already seen this movie before, but it had been several years since I watched it, and I wanted to come back around and revisit it. And I liked it more this time around than I did the initial time that I watched the film. Something about it just clicked for me this time that I really appreciated a lot. And I'm excited to break it apart today. So as the plot description states, we have this group that comes to film this documentary about Deborah Logan, who is this older woman who lives with her daughter, Sarah, played by Ramsay. And the documentary crew is led up by Mia, played by Michelle Ang. And at the beginning, we get a little bit of introduction, and Deborah is very reluctant at first to have the documentary crew film her. And you see her and her daughter having this conversation, and essentially the daughter says, hey, we need the money, we need the help because we have to pay for your medical bills, things are getting really expensive. And so Sarah, the daughter, has a conversation with Mia about this, and she says it's very professional, it's very personal to me. She explains that she has someone in her family that was dealing with the same thing, and so she's doing this not only because it's for credit for school, but it's because it's something that's near and dear to her and very personal. And after this conversation, Deborah and Sarah agree to have the documentary crew come later and start filming. So the movie is the documentary crew are living in the house with Deborah and her daughter, and slowly tension begins to build and build as all these weird sort of supernatural things start to happen that are relatively unexplainable to the crew and to Deborah's daughter, Sarah. So as I said, I've seen this before, but I really enjoyed this a lot more this time around. I think at the forefront, one of my favorite things about this movie, I love found footage, but I love when a found footage film can really pack a heavy punch. And what I love so much about this movie is on its own, it's just a really scary, fantastic found footage film. There are some incredibly unsettling moments in this movie that aren't reliant on jump scares. It's all about eerie atmosphere, and I think that that's what makes this movie work so well, is that really uneasy atmosphere that it creates from the very first 10 minutes of the movie. Once this movie gets going, it does not slow down. The entire film, you are on the edge of your seat watching these series of events play out in a way that is really high anxiety, intense. I really accredit the director for creating that suspense and that tension and that dread in a way that's very palpable. Aside from that, the thing I really like about this movie is they're using this supernatural story to convey the real horrors of Alzheimer's. Because when you think about a lot of diseases that exist in our world, Alzheimer's is absolutely terrifying. To think that you could get to a point in your life where you don't remember the people around you, you don't remember memories that you have, it's absolutely horrifying to think this whole existence that you've built can slowly start slipping away from you. And there's been a lot of movies over time that cover that subject matter and that explore what it's like for people to have Alzheimer's or dementia. One of the movies I've talked about quite frequently on my TikTok, and I did a review for it on my YouTube channel, is the Gaspar Noé film Vortex, which does a really great job at depicting the real horror of that sickness. And this movie uses horror to kind of elevate those emotions in the viewer. And I think what's great about it is there are truly scary moments that pack a very intense punch when it comes to the horror elements, but there's also some very scary moments in just seeing this character fall iller and iller and the things that she has to go through to just navigate this horrible illness. And I think the way the director conveys it, he does a really excellent job. I also think the performances in this from top to bottom are really fantastic. I think the chemistry of the documentary crew is really great. Jill Larson that plays Deborah and Ramsay that plays Sarah both do a phenomenal job. I also love a lot of the subtext to their family dynamics. Sarah very early on has conversations about her sexual identity and that she's a lesbian, and there's like these little conversations about their relationship, and it seems like her mother still loves her, but navigating that in her youth and the struggles that that brought to her, I thought that was a really cool element to introduce into the film to kind of give you a little bit more background into their family without like a ton of heavy expositional dialogue. And what I really like about this, like I said, the examination of the disease is really fascinating, but the way that they incorporate the supernatural elements into the film are really interesting. I really like the story. I really like where it goes. The third act of this is absolutely wild. There's one scene in particular that people like to discuss when they talk about this movie that is definitely seared into my brain. It's incredibly horrifying, and I think the way they pull it off visually works really well. And I just love the atmosphere of this movie. And found footage is a genre that I love a lot. Even some found footage films that don't have the highest quality, I still really enjoy. But I think The Taking of Deborah Logan is actually a quality found footage film that is executed really well. I think it has some pacing issues, even for its shorter runtime. It's not a perfect film, but it's a really enjoyable found footage film that I think if you've never seen it before, it'll truly scare you. And I also think you'll be able to pull something away from it about Alzheimer's and what people have to go through when experiencing that disease. So have you seen The Taking of Deborah Logan? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was fantastic. This was my second time watching it, and I enjoyed it even more than the first time I saw it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.